In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to use the if function in Excel to simplify decision-making and streamline data analysis. Let's dive right in and I'll show you two uses of the if function. The first is a very basic use case with a simple true or false test. The second uses multiple conditions, or what is called a nested use of the if function. In my sample data, I have a list of students' exam scores, and I want to identify who passed and who may need a little extra help to succeed. For the first example, I want to quickly identify which students have scored 50% or above, indicating a pass, and those who scored below 50%, who may need some additional support. The syntax of the if function is quite straightforward. We start with the condition we want to test. In this case, it is whether the score is greater than or equal to 50%. Then, we provide the value that should be returned if the condition is true. In this case, I want to display the word pass and the value to display if the condition is false, which will be the word fail. Let's go ahead and implement this formula for the first student. I'll begin with equals, followed by if, and then an opening bracket. Next is the value I want to test. In this case, it's the test score in cell B2. Now is where I will indicate I want to see if the value is greater or less than 50%. To do this, I'll use the greater than and then the equal signs followed by the number 50. I'll add a comma and add what I want to display if the condition is true, if the score is greater than or equal to 50%. This would be the word pass within quotes. I'll follow this with a comma and then enter what I want to display if the condition is not true, or the student scored less than 50%, the word fail within quotes. Finally, I'll add a closing bracket and click enter. There we have it. The if function immediately informs us whether this student has passed or failed. Now, I'll apply this formula to the rest of the students by using the fill handle on the bottom right. Excel does the heavy lifting for us, and within seconds, we have a clear and more visual overview of the student's pass or fail status. But wait, there's more. Our solution is fine for simple pass or fail or single logical test outcomes. But what if I want to display custom values for the students based on score ranges? I can do this by using multiple conditions for the if function. Let's say I want to display excellent for scores of 90% or higher, good for scores between 75 and 89%, and work harder for scores between 50 and 74%, and fail for scores below 50%. This is where I will use a more complicated application of the if function. As I look at our goals on the right, here's how I would apply the if function in a formula. I'll begin with equals, followed by if, and then an opening bracket. If the score in cell B2 is greater than or equal to 90%, I'll display the word excellent. For the formula, I'll enter B2 with the greater than and equal signs and then the number 90 followed by a comma. I'll then enter what I want to be displayed if the condition is true, which is the word excellent in quotes followed by a comma. That covers our if value is true part of the if function where we test to see if the student scored above 90%. But we still have a few more conditions to test against. Instead of a simple false condition like in our pass or fail scenario I demonstrated earlier, I'll need to check the other ranges of exam scores. To do this, instead of the false condition, I'll start another instance of the if function with an opening bracket. In this next part, we'll test if the value in cell B2 is greater than or equal to 75% to cover the range of students between 75 and 89%. If this condition tests as true, I'll display good. Now, I'll add a comma and now we can use another if function to determine if the score is between 50 and 74%. This time, I'll test if the value in cell B2 is greater than or equal to 50%. If it is, I'll want to show the message, "Work harder," followed by a comma. And to finish off the formula for the false condition, which means the score was below 50%, I'll want the formula to display the word "fail." Now, I'll enter a closing bracket. However, since I used multiple conditions, I'll need to make sure the number of closing brackets matches the number of opening brackets so that my formula is formatted properly. Finally, click Enter, and we can see that this correctly displays "Work harder" for this first exam score. I'll copy the formula to the remaining rows. The if function can handle multiple conditions, making it versatile and indispensable for simple to complicated data analysis. It's an invaluable tool that can simplify decision-making and streamline your data analysis. Check out this popular video where I use a more complicated application of the if function.